Hey, walk with me. I'm back again as promised. However, I will not be going over the animated version of me reading the Bible. As I said in this video, I decided to do a different video about finding time to actually get into the written word. So I'm going to do a quick recap of the last video, which was basically, like I said, tips on where to start reading the Bible. And so I shared tips. I think it was like, 4 tips. And this is not an all-inclusive list of how you can actually start, or where to start, I should say, where to start reading the Bible. But the tips that I shared was, 1, you could start in Genesis, the beginning book, the first book of the Bible, and read all the way through. You could do Proverbs. We said Proverbs has 31 chapters, and you have 31 days in your longer months. We said the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You could start there, and that's the New Testament. We also said the devotionals. You could kickstart your reading with devotionals like Our Daily Bread. I think there's a Today God is First, the TGIF devotional, and that's an online one. And we said that was a way that you could kickstart your reading. But today, as I said earlier, we're going to talk about I'm going to give you tips on where to find time in your day to actually do this. Because I know many of us have families and husbands and jobs and businesses. And it's kind of like, where in the world am I going to find time to actually get into the written word? So the tips that I'm going to share are tips that I actually use myself to find time during the day to actually get into the written word. So point number 1, get up earlier. Yes, get up earlier. I know it's hard enough as it is to get up for work. I know we hit that snooze button probably 2-3 times, and it's just for some of us. I won't say for all of us. Some of us are early people, or some of you guys are early morning risers. You're morning people. But for a lot of people, maybe early morning is not your thing. But if you really want to get into the written word, sometimes it might be in your best interest to get up early. The advantages of getting up earlier is that you start your day off in the word. You start your day off with God. You start your day off on a positive note, on a fresh, positive note. And the another advantage for me for getting up earlier is everybody's asleep. And when people are asleep, they sleep. Okay, so maybe getting up 30 minutes, an hour earlier than you do might be a little space that you can find in your day. So second tip, yes, I'm looking at a piece of paper. Second tip is your lunch break. This is also something I used to do. I'm not saying you have to use your whole lunch break, but maybe you could use part of your lunch break. If you get an hour lunch break, maybe you could use 30 minutes of your lunch break. That's what I used to do particularly when I was in the Air Force. I was stationed at Florida. This is where I would do this at. I was stationed at Herbert Field. I would go to the Sound, park my car, have a lunch with me. I would spend half of my lunch with eating my lunch, my food, and then I would spend another half with actually digging into my word while sitting at the Sound, looking at the sand and the beach. So that was another way, lunch break. You can use your whole lunch break. You can use half of your lunch break, or you can even say, okay, well, these days I'm going to use my lunch break. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, sacrifice a TV show. Most shows run 30 minutes to an hour. So sacrifice a TV show. Choose one of those shows that's not really building you up, or it doesn't even have to be that show. Just choose a show. Just choose a TV show and say, okay, instead of watching that show today, I'm going to spend my 30 minutes or an hour and read my word. I'm going to get into the written word. I'm going to spend time with God. I'm going to just sit there and chill out and read my word for 30 minutes or an hour. Okay, so sacrifice a TV show or sacrifice time on social media. Before you know it, you'll be on social media, 15, 20 minutes, easy, very easy, just scrolling through stuff, watching videos, making comments. So sacrifice social media time. Another one is phone calls. Sometimes we get on the telephone. Well, I won't say telephone, cell phone, and we're on the cell phone texting or chatting. And before you know it, I know for me, I'm a talker. I know a lot of you know me as a quiet person, but those who really know me know I'm a talker. I can talk you from sun up to sundown. So when I have phone conversations, more than likely they're like, my friends can tell you, we stay on the phone anywhere from an hour to 3, some people even 4 hours. That's how long I can have a phone conversation. So for somebody like me who's a talker, sacrifice some phone time and get into your word. So, and the last tip I have is you could stay up a little later. I wouldn't recommend staying up too late because your body does need rest and we have to do things in balance and you have to take care of your body and everything. But you could stay up half an hour later. Stay up half an hour later and read something, pray and do that. And so that's another way you can find time to get into your Bible, into the written word. So I have other little tips that I would like to share, but I don't think I'll do that on this video, just to keep it short. So again, we're going to go over it again. So some tips on finding time in your day could include getting up earlier, sacrificing your lunch break, half of it or the entire lunch break. It could be sacrificing your TV shows, time on social media, your time that you spend chatting on the phone. It could be staying up a little bit later. But whatever you choose, there's always, if we really do time management and look at our 24 hours, there's always at least 30 minutes to an hour you can carve out to get into your written word. And it's not about how much that you read, but it's really about quality. But you do want to carve out that time just to sit down and get settled and find you something to read. So now this is what we have going. So going back to video 1, we discussed ways that you can get started in your written word. And in video 2, we talked about ways to find time, some tips on finding time to actually get into your written word. And so perhaps video 3 might be me and my animated version of me actually getting into the word. And so hopefully these tips are helping you find time and knowing where to start and getting in your word. So I'm going to end on that note. And I say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, be safe, don't drink and drive, don't eat too much, as one of my sisters posted, and just have a good time with your family and friends this holiday. And so Merry Christmas, talk to you later, chat with you later, find time to get in your word, get fed some spiritual food, and have a blessed rest of the day.